good day with no rain for rather a long time. Everything needs a bit of a water. I've started with the broad beans and moved on to other things. I'll be doing some of the brassicas in a minute, particularly the Taunton Deans. Right, that little one, where is it? That little one that I put in the other day. And this one over here. It's not that there isn't moisture further down, but at the moment these roots are pretty much sort of close to the surface of these and the Taunton Dean and anything that I put in recently. So I need to make sure that those do get moisture that just drains right down. I mean, I don't want the roots to stay at the surface. I do want them to find water down below, but with no rain for so many weeks now, these really do need a little bit of help to ensure that the roots at the top help the roots down below, if you see what I mean. And of course, you know, these are beginning to flower now. Flowers are forming, so they do need a little bit of help. And I've also given these broad beans a little bit of a feed as well, because I felt they needed it. Yeah, they looked really good going in, and they're looking a little bit pale now. I think they'll be fine. Some of them are looking pale, but of course this is also two varieties of beans I need to remember. One is Claudia Aquadulce and the other one is Save Seed from a neighbour, so I'm not quite sure what they are. I'm not actually keeping an eye on when I'm planting things, what I'm planting, what variety, what's in what tray, that type of thing at the moment. I'm just really trying to just get on and get things sown and get things in. That I think is the best use of this year. Yeah. And as you saw in the greenhouse over there, the lettuce and the rocket are coming on, and hopefully the Jostaberry cuttings that we took are doing okay as well. I think I might take out the spring onions that are in there. I don't think they like the heat. Well, I know they don't particularly like the heat, but it is still getting down to pretty cold at night. I think we had 2 degrees last night here. I have brought out, not sure if I showed this last week, but I brought out our brassicas that we potted on, or potted up actually, a couple of weeks ago. They're now outside because I feel that they could benefit from being outside. Mary and Baz here, the wild geraniums that we have are doing okay. And we have some hosta coming up as well, which is rather nice. I think they were from the gate sale that we had last year. But, you know, I've just watered, as you know, the Jostaberries and the raspberries there. And I'll soon be doing these gooseberries and the cultivated blackberry, because it just feels so dry. And I don't think we're due any rain at the moment until potentially Sunday, maybe even Monday. But that's okay, I don't mind watering. I have just tidied these up a little and doing what I say I'm going to do. I brought those spring onions out. I think that seed is pretty old and it hasn't germinated that well, but it'll do for the time being. I may sow some more. I have noticed that some chives have come up, which I'm really pleased about. They're in the herb bed. We'll have a look at those in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought I would give these a bit of a tidy. And now what am I going to do? Give them a little bit of water. it certainly does seem that every time I'm coming to my plot and I come through the gate or I meet someone on the street, the chat at the moment is about how little rain we have had. And certainly March, I think, if not the driest month on record, is certainly one of the driest months on record. And April has sort of continued in that vein, though with more sunshine during the day, that has obviously helped evaporate things more. I only filled up the bee bowl 2 days ago and already all of that has evaporated, and I know there's no crack in it. I mean, it's quite shallow and there's lots of pebbles and they heat up and they help evaporate the water, but I've just had to top it up again now, so that's yeah, that was fine. But yeah, the chat is definitely about watering, you know, how much one needs to water, and I think some of the paddock plot holders are watering rather a lot. Some of our plotters on the rest of the site are also watering rather a lot, and some are watering relatively sparingly. I am giving little and not little and often. Why was I saying little and often? I'm giving a good dousing. So before I go home today, having watered the broad beans and everything else I've watered, I'm going to give them all another good water, because that will have allowed the water that I have put over them already to moisten that soil underneath quite well, so that when I water again, that further watering just goes straight through the top moist layer right through to the shallow roots that are below in the plants that I have just planted and or relatively recently planted. And I will do the same with the potato bed, so everything that I've done will have another water, apart from the lettuce and the everything in the cold frame here, the grow house as I call it. So yeah, there we are, a bit more watering to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to crack on off camera doing some sowing, but I thought I would let you know what I am going to be sowing. It's tomato time, so I am doing, what have I got here? I've got 5 varieties. Amish paste, which is a stalwart of ours, you know we grow that regularly. Black Crim, Save Seed, another one that we regularly grow. Mountain Magic, now I was given this last 2 years ago, and with the really sort of odd germination we had last year, I don't really know how these did, because I think I got all my tomatoes muddled up. So I will be sowing those and keeping an eye on them. Isle of Wight Yellow, this is a yellow tomato that we got from the Isle of Wight Tomato Company as a gift from someone, and it was in a box of tomatoes, and I saved the seed, so I'll be doing that again. And Rose de Ben, another one gifted by Vivi, these I will be doing those as well. Now, when I said before that I'm not keeping an eye on things that I'm sowing, what I mean is I'm not keeping a track of when I've sown them, when they've germinated, when I prick them out, that type of thing. I am keeping an eye on what I am sowing and trying to make sure I get my labelling right this year. Labelling is one of my bête noires, it really is. Cucumbers, Vivi Save Seed, I will be sowing some of those. Where the tomato seeds will go into a seed tray, I am going to be sowing these in modules. I will also be sowing courgettes in modules. These are our Burpee's Golden zucchini, so courgette for us. And I have here winter red curry, which is a red curry squash, obviously an acorn squash, some people call them. And they will be in modules too. In fact, I'll do a full tray of those. Where are my butternuts? Where are my butternuts? Maybe I won't be doing butternuts this year if I'm doing red curry. I think I'm quite limited on space in some ways. I'll have a think on that. I brought down some Petrowski turnips, which are a yellow turnip, so that I can put these in the in my plot neighbour's greenhouse. And also I am sowing some odd seeds that I've got of cosmos. One is white, as you can see, the other is pink and white. And I will be sowing these into a seed tray, and we will see how we do with that. I will put links, or I most probably have put links by the time you see this, into where I've sown cucumbers, where I've sown tomatoes before, courgettes, that type of thing. The cosmos I'm just going to be sowing like I sowed the lettuce and the rocket a few weeks ago. So I'll put a link into a lettuce sowing, because then you'll know that that's what I did for that. Anyway, I'm going to leave that here for, I'm going to leave it here, not that. What's that? I'm going to leave it here for this first segment of A Week at the Plot. It's Tuesday afternoon. I've done quite a lot on my desk today. Big event coming up at the end of June, so doing an awful lot of costings for that at the Great Green Barn. And just sort of keeping my life work balance in decent check at the moment. One thing I do need to do and get in check, and maybe it will be this week, is tidy this shed. It's a mess. Maybe later on in the week. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. I'm not sure if you can see, I've been bemoaning how little life there is in this pond this year, and now I see tadpoles, loads of them, and also food for tadpoles in there. I need to get some more pondweed in there. There's some pondweed at the bottom which will aerate, and there's some pondweed beginning to grow on the top. I'll let the grass grow back around here. But yeah, I think I most probably need to put something this side to give it a little bit of shade. But there's life in there. Can you see? I'm not sure if you can see the things wiggling, the tadpoles wiggling in there. But yeah, we've got life in this pond. Happy Thursday mornings. Oh, well, it's actually Friday morning, I think. But happy days, certainly. Oh, how fabulous. And I'm not sure you can see them. Oh. Let me see if I can get a closer shot. Oh, and there's something else in there as well. Another bit of life, like a shrimpy thing. Oh, bless. Fabulous. Let me see if I can get a closer look at some of these. Bye. Good day. Just going into the nettle feed that I set here, oh no, 2 months? No, more than that. How do I do that? I do that and that unlocks it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can smell that. Well, that's definitely nettle feed. So this is nettles that I put in here a good 2 months, no, even longer. I'll have to look back. And it's just released its nutrients over that time into the water that I added in here. So that's fabulous. I have got various bottles here. I'm going to decant this with a funnel. I need to find where that funnel is. Into here. And then this will be watered down quite a bit. And then used as a feed. As you can see, the nettle feed is no longer in here. I looked for my little funnel, but I couldn't find it. But I do have these pots, which they're beakers that I put holes in for growing in. And I thought, actually, if I put that on top of there and then pour into here, it will funnel it through into there. And sure enough, that worked well enough. So I'm pleased with that. I think that's a litre bottle, so that's about 1/3 of a litre. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a week feed. I'm going to put this with 10 litres and put it over my broad beans. And then next week I will decant more. Next week or the week after, I'll decant the rest of the nettle feed into other bottles, and I will start the process again. And nettle feed is good for sort of leafy things and brassicas, and just basically as a general booster. Comfrey feed is would be good as well for the broad beans, because they're going to be developing seed, i.e. beans, which we're going to be eating. But I don't have any comfrey feed. I have this nettle feed, and I've got some general fertilizer. So this will do as a week feed for the time being. That's these done with the nettle feed. I gave them a quick water first, then put the nettle feed over, and then gave them another quick water. So that will have been diluted a little bit more, but that's fine. It means that the nutrients of particularly nitrogen and chlorophyll and other minerals and nutrients will start going down into that soil, which is what we want. Yeah, I mean, these are beginning to flower. You can see it more from the other side. Let me just go to the other side. I think I showed this the other day. Hopefully you can see from this angle that there's quite a plethora of flowers coming, despite how short these are. They really are quite short, but they're flowering. And as long as those flowers get pollinated, we will have some harvests from them. Our Sarpo mirror potatoes are beginning to break the surface here, as are various weeds, which I'm going to sort out shortly. In fact, I'm going to do that now, and then I will water these after I've sorted out those weeds, because they'll be easier to pull when the ground is dry. And then if we look over here, still nothing in our Jersey Royals. Will they come? Who knows? We will see. But over this side with our, what have we got here? I've forgotten. Oh, I've forgotten what they are. But you can see one here, 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 here. They're beginning to come up. There's another one in the middle there. But what they do desperately need is water. So much watering going on. Watering also needed here with our Jostaberries, which hopefully you can see are flowering. They'll need to be netted soon. The raspberries are breaking through over there. I think some have died. Oh, I say that, but there's some breaking through there and there. I was sort of thinking this area there's none, but we'll see, we'll see. And what I also need to do is put the wood chip on top of this bed. I did keep some back, some real wood chip like that I've kept back, so I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to water. The other day I sowed in here some champion curl parsley, and then when I got home I noticed that the best before date on the packet was best before 2021. So I did actually buy some Italian giant parsley last year, and I've decided that I'm going to sow some additionally. So I've just got some seed, just popping some seed in my hand. I'm going to do it relatively lightly. That will do. There's most probably about 20 seeds in there. That one doesn't want to come off my hand. And I'm just putting maybe a centimetre on top, patting down or tamping down with my fingers. Let me put this seed packet away before I do the next thing that I'm obviously going to do, because I don't want that seed there to get wet. Water, water, that'll give all of those a water. Label Italian giant parsley. Just a quick look at what has recently been sown. Nothing in the candelabra primulas yet. This is the parsley I've just sown. This is the one I sowed 2 days ago. At the back there are tomatoes that were sown, I think, on Thursday afternoon. We've got Magic Mountain, Amish Paste, Rose de Ben, Black Crim, and one other that I can't. Oh yeah, the Isle of Wight yellow. Someone did say it will be interesting to see if it comes back yellow, and yeah, it will be. I just hope it comes back tasty. Cosmos sown I think earlier in the week. That's starting to germinate, as you can see. In fact, this one has come up since I've been down here. Lettuce and rocket, which was sown, what was that, about 3 weeks ago? That's doing fine. Nothing so far in the curry squash, the red curry squash. Nothing so far in the cucumbers. And when I did sow these, I only sowed 6 because I only had 6, but I've sown 6 further ones here. And I've differentiated by using slightly different compost that has got the perlite in it. And then at the back, courgettes, and I can see no soil disturbance in those yet either. Let's just quickly pop into the poly. A quick look at our garlic before we go into the poly. I did notice somebody else's garlic is already beginning to get scapes on. Ours is looking okay, a bit yellowy at the base, but I wonder how they're forming. We've had no rain, and I am thinking about giving them a water, but I don't want to water them to make them bolt if we're going to have a really another sort of spell of dry weather. Yeah, forget-me-nots, they're looking fabulous. Some down here as well. Anyway, into the poly. Bluebells in the pot here, looking fab. Oh, this buddleia, since I cut it back, it's really sprouted and putting on a lot of growth. Not surprisingly, much smaller area of stem, of stalk in fact, and woody stalk for it to grow from. So not surprising. Lettuce being harvested regularly, but this is what I wanted to come up to. Beetroot germination there, just coming through a bit over here, and some here as well, little red flecks. So very pleased that those are beginning to germinate, and they're in the poly because the poly's cooler than the greenhouse. It is now pretty cloudy out there. I would say it's overcast now, no blue sky. The sun, which was pretty strong only 15-20 minutes ago, and we've had most of the day, it seems to have gone behind that cloud now, and I don't think it's going to be coming back. Our weather, we were expecting, because it was forecast, snow, rain, not snow, rain on Sunday. It's Saturday now. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. It was sort of moving around between those 4 days, but 2 days of rain at least. Now the next 2 weeks look as though we have very, very little, if any, rain. I mean, I do hope we get it, because I would rather have, as I call it, water from the skies rather than water from the tap. But you know what? If that rain doesn't come, then I will carry on watering, which is what I'm going to carry on doing now. There are some weeds that need to be taken out, and in the bed that is going to be used for the tomatoes this year, I've noticed some bindweed in there, so I'm going to be getting in there with a fork to remove that. And obviously I'll be keeping on top of the seeds that we have sown, making sure that they do not dry out, because you really don't want them to dry out at this stage and be in any way stressed. But you also don't want to overwater them, because if you overwater, the seeds can actually rot. I mean, what some people do is they sit a tray in water for 12 hours after they've sown the seed, and the moisture comes up from below. I like to do a light watering over the top and try and make sure at this time of year that they're not sitting in water. So before I go home today, I will check all the watering that I've done in the greenhouse today, and if there is water in the bottom of the trays, I will tip it out. Yeah. Anyway, there we are. I do have some other things to do and to sow. I've got some Nicotiana to sow, which I think is going to be for the gate sale. Again, it's pretty old seed. I'm checking on some pretty old seed. That Cosmos that germinated in 3-4 days, that was best before 2021. So it has been kept in the fridge since I've had it. So, you know, I do say, if you can, please keep your seeds in the fridge, in a Tupperware, in an airproof tub, with silica sachets inside, because that really is the best way, I find, to keep them nice and dry and cool and in the dark. Right, I'm going to go now. I'm going to do some more weeding. And somebody has suggested that they might buy me a pint as well. So I might traverse the road to go to the Fox to help them bring back a pint or two. Whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space or your allotment, I hope you are enjoying what is going on. If you're planning for next year in the Southern Hemisphere already, I think that's a pretty good thing to do. And here we're just sort of getting going. But I feel in a good place. I feel in a good place at the moment. But I do need to do some weeding. See you very soon. And happy growing. Bye.